Hello, everyone. I am back recording with Wendy Snyder, positive parenting coach, and today is Mother's Day, and we wanted to lift all of you mamas up and encourage you and give you a few tips on how you can pour into yourself today, and not only today, but weekly. So welcome, Wendy, back.
Thank you for having me, Chrissy. I love this topic. It's so important that your listeners hear this today.
It is, because you mentioned it. You said briefly, moms carry the weight of the world, and it impacted me so much. And I was like, yep, I feel like that. I carry the weight of the world for all of my children, meaning their educations, their friendships, social lives, birthday parties, like all
Sports
of that.
schedules, music schedules,
yes,
meals.
Yes.
Yeah, the home, work.
And I think the majority of moms do. And we don't give ourselves credit for that work. And if you hear a little Ruby in the background, that is her.
Yes, she's having
and
fun.
that is, hopefully that helps you feel connected to me because, we don't have a nanny, at least yet.
Yes,
Not there yet. We'll have an episode on when we, make it to that point where you hire out, but no.
Neither do I, and I have a business that I swear wants to eat up 80 hours of my week, and I don't have a nanny either, so real world.
And honestly, it's a choice too, because I don't want to give away these young years. So if you hear Ruby in the background, just know it's me enjoying this part of my motherhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we're just doing it all. Anyways, we wanted to encourage you. We see you. We see everything you're doing. So Wendy, what are some of your tips?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, okay. It's so good just to start off with that, making sure that we're acknowledging ourselves, right? So I think Mother's Day especially, there's this kind of like worldly desire to have everybody else tell us or acknowledge us, which is important, right? Like we love the flowers, we love the gifts, we love the brunches and cards, and so important. However, we have to start with ourselves, like telling ourselves, look at all that you're doing. Yeah. And you are doing incredible self. And I think sometimes if you need to, like, write out a list of all the things that you've done for your family, like, and yes, sometimes it's going to be laundry and dishes, or other days it's going to be managing a project at work and like getting the phone call from school that your kiddo has a snotty nose and needs to be picked up. But at the end of the day, like, you've got to acknowledge how incredible of a job you're doing. And that does not lie in how perfect your kids are behaving at this stage of life, how clean your house is, how much you're juggling. It just revolves around you showing up every day and giving your family your all and loving your kids and just unconditionally. Like, you just got to stop and acknowledge that and just sit in it for a minute today, because that self-love is so important, because joy actually will start within us.
Yeah. Gosh, I love it. Yeah, because those are all some of the mundane things that we do in motherhood every single day.
Yeah.
And I had this thought the other day that, actually yesterday, I thought, there's so many things I want to do in my career. I want to, and we can go on social media and see, so-and-so's flying to this place or that place and doing this job. And it looks so glamorous. And it's like, oh, what am I doing? I'm doing school pickup, and I, have a cold, and I'm changing diapers, and I'm feeding someone, and I'm cleaning up Cheerios,
dealing with tantrums.
2 seconds.
Yeah.
And I had this thought yesterday. It takes so much courage to do the mundane.
Yes.
And it's a lot of work, and it is not like always showing. You're not always sowing, what you're harvesting, or what is that phrase? Reaping what you sow. You're not always, getting the rewards right away, especially in motherhood, but it's still good work, and it's like you might not end up with a paycheck at the end of the day, or you don't clock out ever. Yeah. But it is such rewarding work, and the mundane is still beautiful and amazing
and valuable. Like, you're so valued. Like, I mean, I always tell the families I work with at Fresh Start Family, it's like, all of you're just so seen and admired for how hard you're working. And a lot of that is a lot of spiritual, emotional stuff when you're raising young humans on top of like the to-do list that we all have as moms, the way we run our homes, that we're often, like you said, these we're trying our best to be leaders of our home in certain ways. Our husbands are leaders in their own way, but we lead a lot of stuff in our homes, but we're also nurturing and raising human souls. And that is such emotional, spiritual work that I just want you all to know like how seen and admired you are, because you're working so hard. That in itself, so it's just, I'm in admiration of every mom on the planet. And it's just so important that they all hear that wherever you're at, you're so seen, you're so admired, you're doing a great job, you're working your tail off.
And if you are a stay-at-home mom and you're not working and you don't have a side hustle, that is totally fine. Like, I feel like when people ask you, oh, what do you do? A lot of women just say, oh, I'm just a mom. Right. I'm just a stay-at-home mom. Take the just out of that. Yeah. Acknowledge what you do. And I was thinking the other day, I think moms should say I'm a professional, like, human raiser. I'm a professional, like, mother. I'm a professional shaper of good humans. Like, absolutely. I was like, that is what you're doing. You are a psychologist. You are a nurse. You are a doctor. You are raising spiritual beings. And the fact that you do that is amazing. So like Wendy said, first of all, acknowledge that.
Yeah. And then, on the other side of the coin of like making sure you are feeling like things are in balance as far as what you're doing versus your spouse or your family members, whatever it is, I think it's important to have that self-acknowledgement. And then also on the other side of that is that you deserve to have a little space, a little self-care, yes. Right? So, but often I think we get frustrated that that's just not coming naturally on its own. And then we go down a route of our own type of like misbehavior of like nasty tones or attitudes or just not who we truly are with the people we love most. Yeah. So it's very important that we take responsibility for asking for what we want and for setting our boundaries. So that looks like, Mother's Day is a great opportunity to say to your spouse or to say to, your mom and dad or whoever it is, like who might be in your circle of support system, that I really want to have you learn what I'm learning about the positive parenting, or I really want this hour to go for a jog. And I know it's going to be hard for you to watch all 3 kids. And I'm asking you, if you could please say yes, because I need this time to go take care of myself. And also other boundaries look like, I'm stressed out. Your husband might say, I'm stressed out. You do this. And it's okay to say no. We work with our parents and to teach their kids this, but no is not a bad word. Yeah. So when you tell your spouse, no, I can't do that, I need you to take care of that, with a kind, firm tone, that is fierce love, and that is a beautiful thing that will, I think, help your family. So if you're feeling like you're off balance or you're feeling like there's just too much on your plate, just look at like what are some things you can ask for, especially on a day when it's your birthday or Mother's Day, and what kind of boundaries can you set? What can you say no a little bit more to? Because remember, guys, when you say no, you're always saying yes to something. So when you say no to changing that extra diaper as you're out the door about to meet your friends for a girls' night, you're saying yes to being on time to your girlfriends. Yeah. So you're always saying yes to something. And you're saying, babe, you got this. You can do that. Perfect point. That's a huge point.
I'm laughing because this literally happened yesterday.
Men are notorious for feeling like we over control and try to make this whole parenting thing, them do it our way. Yeah. So yes, when you say no to like, I'm not going to take the kids to the grocery store because I'm going to go for a jog. Yeah. You're saying yes to, you got this. I'm going to let you experience that total pride at the end of a grocery store when you went through it. You went into the Terror Dome and you escaped without eating your young. Like I'm going to say yes to you having that accomplishment because they need that.
Oh yeah.
And if we just do it all, they never get to experience what it feels like to be like, dude, I did that. So yeah, say no, set healthy boundaries. You can do both of those things with firm kindness.
I'm laughing because like literally yesterday this happened. I was like Sam came home from work. I was going to do a coaching session, and I was like, all right, here you go. Here's the baby. He's like, oh, can you put clothes on her first? And I was like, nope, you got this. And he was like, rolled his eyes. But then I realized, like, he needs to figure this out, and he can do this. And in the past, I would think, that's my job. I am the keeper of all the kids.
Or feel guilty.
So I'm like, I am taking that off. I am not owning it. I am giving that to him. And then almost every time he takes the kids to the store with him, he comes back with an amazing story. He was like, oh, so-and-so said this about Zeke and this mean. I'm like, yeah, I know. You get big claps when you go to the store with all the kids.
Yes.
So anyways, I love how you said that. And incidentally enough, just give my husband some props. He said this week, I listened to something about how you need to go out and have a little bit more space and time to connect and not be just a mom. And I was like, oh, wow, what did you listen to? And where, so he's like, so I think you should call some girlfriends and go out soon. And I'm like, okay.
Yes. So, what a beautiful Mother's Day gift.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I am like, for me, I'm like Mother's Week. I'm like, can I go do this? Can I do that? And I'm like, yeah, I'm filling myself up. So
yes,
but I think it's important to do that weekly. I really do. I mean, if you can. I mean, it's not. We have schedules and all that stuff. But anyways, I think it's really important to find something that fills you up weekly, so you can pour yourself out and notice when you start to feel that resentment. Because then I'm like, okay, instead of feeling resentment, I need to do what I need to do for me because I'm the only one that can take care of me.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And that joy, it really starts from within. It's really not an external factor that we think if the kids are good, if the spouse helps out, if my work lines up, if my business creates the profits, that'll bring me joy. Joy is actually an internal feeling, and so we can... Hi, Ruby Jean. She's excited about this episode.
She says, yeah, Mom.
So, it's we can access joy anytime we want, and it takes practice, but it is so true. We can find joy in the 5 minutes. If it's not an hour, you can find joy in the 5 minutes or the memories or whatever it is. So, yeah.
Yeah. Any other tips you have?
Oh my goodness. So, any other tips?
Acknowledge what you're doing, fill yourself up, and ask for help or ask for the time to be alone and have space, and don't feel guilty about it.
Yep. And I'd say the last thing would be to kind of go along with number 2 is just watch yourself when you almost dip out of line with getting annoyed with the type of pushback when you do those things. So it's okay, and it's part of life that people are going to be like, gosh, I don't know if I can handle the 3 kids, or I want to go for a jog too, or that's just like we're all trying to get our needs met. So when we set firm boundaries and we ask for what we want, and same with our kids, when our kids beg for a toy at the end of the Target aisle, we can say no and not move into anger and irritation and annoyance and hurt, right? So we just want to practice up the saying no, asking for what we want without the how dare you even ask me that? Yeah. How dare you even push back on that? What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Do you see that kind of stuff will send us down a track of yes, we set the boundary and we ask for what we want, but because we layered on this story in our head that they're annoying because they pushed back or they didn't say yes right away, now it almost kind of muddles our joy that we're going to find from setting the boundaries and asking for what we want. So just have a mission, be firm and kind, and then leave it at that. And if they push back a little bit, or if they kind of roll their eyes as they take all 3 kids with the poopy diapers in their arms, then just wish them luck, say a prayer, and walk out the door for your jog and leave it at that. But that'll take practice, right? Because then it just helps everybody to follow through with what they've agreed to. And then next time they're less likely to roll their eyes because they're going to experience the accomplishment of actually doing that for an hour, of taking the 3 kids and changing the diaper and getting them stuff we deal with all the time, right? We're just experienced in it, and they're a little bit less experienced. So, I think that kind of goes hand in hand. It's just making sure we're watching our internal dialogue about it, because often the stories we start telling ourselves in our head will actually create the feelings of irritation and anger, which then dilute our joy from what we're going to get if we set boundaries and ask for what we want and acknowledge ourselves. All that will create joy, but then the story about the wow, people are just annoying and nobody does as much as I do, which I am totally guilty of. Like, literally, I have to silence the voices all the time. I use an analogy. I use an analogy of throwing it in the bonfire. Like, crumple it up. Like, oh, that thought just came in. Like, let's acknowledge it. And then crumble it up, throw it in the bonfire. And make room for another healthier, more accurate thought, which is, my husband's doing the best he can, and he's learning to handle 3 kids at once. Like, my daughter told me once, we had recorded another episode, Miss Chrissy, where you said, I'm a new mom, and then you corrected yourself. Well, I'm not a new mom. I'm a new mom to elementary school. But Stella actually told me once when we were having, like, after kind of a exchange between one another, and I think I'd like threatened to put the kids straight to bed because I was so irritated they were fighting or something. And I think she was 7. Which is how old Waylon is, right? And she said to me, Mom, calm down, calm down. She's like, let's start fresh. You don't need to put us straight to bed. She goes, remember, she goes, we're just figuring this out. We're just kids. We're just figuring out how to be kids, how to do life. You're just figuring out how to be a mom. She goes, I've only been a kid for 7 years. You've only been a mom for 7 years.
I love that.
And it literally brought me out of it. And a lot of times, like, I'll be a stinker and stay in my anger. And I was like, oh, you're right. Like, we're in this together. We are new. Like, I am 41 years old and I've only been a mom for 11. Like, if this is still, we're figuring it out. I feel like by now I'm like, okay, I've kind of got my traction. But, you have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old, right? That's still new. Like, we're just, very new. We're figuring it out, and our spouses are too. Like, they're still just figuring it out. And so that's more of a healthy story that will give us feelings that are accurate. Whereas irritation and anger or frustration are not always accurate. Because it's a false story.
See, what I hear you saying is take out the judgment part of it too. Like, don't judge everything with such harsh eyes and being like, well, I have to do this all, and because it doesn't get done the way that it's supposed to get done if I don't do it, or just for instance, off the top of my head, I think about when my kids misbehave. It's always worse when I go to the judgment part and say, well, either I judge myself and say, I'm not doing a good enough job, or I'm just too distracted, and that's judging it, or I say, oh, they're just spoiled brats, and then that's judging it, and it doesn't get us anywhere. It doesn't help us reconnect. It doesn't help anyone learn anything.
And it creates feelings. I found that is absolutely one of the most outstanding things I learned this year in the life coaching work I do, is that our feelings can often be created by the
story you're telling. So tough.
Because in my work, I always we honor feelings. Feelings are neither right nor wrong; they just are. And we teach our kids how to feel. We teach us how to feel and how to communicate that. Blah blah blah. How to not communicate it, just to feel it. But then when I learned that, sometimes our feelings are actually created by the false negative stories we're telling ourselves. So that was a big outstanding, whoa, we do actually have to watch it, because Dr. Amen does a lot of work around this, and I love his work. He kind of goes through this 5-step process where you have this thought. I think his process is A, you write it down. Number 2 is you ask yourself, is it true? And then number 3 is, am I 100% certain that is 100% true? And most of the time it's no. Are my kids entitled brats? Is my husband just unhelpful and lazy and not supportive? Do I have the weight of the world on my shoulders? All that stuff, when you actually look at it in that format, it's no, it's not true.
Right.
And so then he goes on, I think his number 4 is well, how does it feel? How do I feel when I listen to those thoughts? And then what would it look like if I felt the opposite? And what would that look like? So his work is really cool. I really have enjoyed kind of using that process myself, because 99.9% of the time it's not accurate. The thoughts that I've had that create the feelings of irritation and frustration. Anger is a little bit differently. Often I will find myself when I'm angry feeling okay, I know I'm angry, and I've learned to use it as a spotlight on what needs to be changed. It's a justice button for me. But frustration and irritation, I think, is evident in our motherhood journey a lot, and a lot of it is from those stories that are not accurate. So we just find a different story, a truthful story, not let's make one up. It's no, this is truth. They're just figuring it out. They're trying their best to help us, and they do honor and acknowledge how much we're doing. I think you said, just this week, he honored you and said, gosh, you're doing so much. Like, let me figure out how you could get you more supported. Like, that's truthful,
Like, you need to go, feel like a woman and not just always a mom. And I said, thank you. I would love that because, and like we've talked about, motherhood is full of seasons, and there are going to be seasons when I see my kids less, and I'm going to be sad and miss these days, weren't over, and and so I'm trying to really savor these days, but also sometimes I'm like, if one more person tells me to savor this, I'm not going to punch them because it's so hard. I'm literally always doing something for someone else, and the minute I sit down to like drink my coffee and open my book, it's like, Mom, I need water. Mom, I need this. Mom, and I'm like, I'm losing my mind. But and that's why we need to fill ourselves up and to ask for that time and to not feel guilty about it.
Yep, and to set boundaries. Even that with the kids. Like, I'm in a season where I'm transitioning into like setting strong boundaries in the kitchen with the kids. The water, the snacks, the food. Like, my kids are old enough at 8 and 11 now that they really need to start making their own meals and stuff. Now, I'm not there yet where I'm like, you make your own breakfast, you make your own lunch. However, we're slowly moving into it, and I'm slowly going, no, I'm not going to get you the water. And I love you. I'll give you a hug. Water's right over there. You know where it is.
I did that this morning. I was said, you know how to get the water. You know where it is. So there's little steps you can take.
Firm kindness, right? Like, because that sometimes gets us into trouble. We're like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You're asking me for water?
Well, it's so funny because, I mean, a toddler, even our 3-year-old, he can get, I guess he's technically a preschooler, he knows how to get his water when he wants to. But you can't reason with them because he's like, no, Mom, I want you to get it. So I'm like, I'm not going to win this battle. So I just got the water.
Well, in the foundations course in the bonfire, we would teach you how, and you know this because I know you've been in it too, but we would actually teach you how to get him to get up and get the water. And it could be choices, it could be questions, it could be play, it could be like, hey, do you want me to get it in 10 minutes when I'm done nursing, or you get it now? Which one do you choose? Because I'm not getting up.
I like that idea.
After I read this page or
next.
Right.
Before.
I'm happy to help you in 10 minutes.
Oh gosh, we see you. We wanted to encourage you today on Mother's Day that you are doing the hardest job and the best job in the world. And we just wanted to honor you today with a few of our tips on how to fill yourself up and really give yourself the credit you deserve. So happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Come find me at Fresh Start Family Online. I'd love to support and encourage you guys further.
Check out Wendy's community. She's amazing, and there are just so many resources for you. So thank you as always for being here, and happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Say Mama. No, not Daddy. Mama. Say Mama. Mama. No! Say Mama. Mama. Say Mama.